Hello and welcome to our today's live stream, which is the Queen Bee Fairy. There she is. She's lovely. I love it that she's a little bit of a plumper fairy. We usually have sort of quite skinny fairies, but this one is quite plump, and she has got obviously the very distinct stripes that a bee is recognized by, beautiful Angelina fiber wings, and she's got a crown and little wire antennae as well. So I should just say that today I'm not going to show you how to make the Angelina fiber wings. We do have a separate tutorial on how to make the wings if you want to pop over onto our playlist on the YouTube channel, and you can see how to make the Angelina fiber wings, but I'll explain it to you as best as I can with the help of the instructions as well. So this little fairy is part of our Queen Bee fairy box for May. So if you're getting the fairy boxes, then you can make along with this one. And I'm going to just look on the overhead camera what's inside. Now, our fairy boxes are usually so crammed full to the brim that I actually had to put this together with one of our no-sew brooch pins, because it just kept popping open. I didn't want to sellotape it up again, so that's why it's got a funny closure on there. Right, let's have a look inside. So there's definitely loads in there. You always get our fairy box newsletter in the fairy boxes. There are the instructions in here as well, and there are the templates here on the back for the left and the right wing. We thought we'll give you both of them so you don't have to work out how to make a left and a right wing, starting with instructions from the front all the way to the final steps. So I am leaving out these steps of how to make the Angelina fiber wings. And in the box you also get your tools. So for the fairies you need, there's less needle felting than for most of our projects, but you get our eco wool mat, which are comprises of two separate mats. They are used on top of each other. They're made from recycled wool, so if they look a little bit uneven or unequal, then that is why. And you also get a medium felting needle, which is what you need for this particular project. Sometimes you get a fine felting needle in our fairy kits. In this one you get a medium felting needle. So then you have in there, start with a little accessory, a little golden crown, which will be on top of the queen bee's head. There you go, same, exactly. There we go. And then you get the Angelina fiber in this little bag here. You get your wire for the antennae, so keep that safe. I'm going to put that to one side. You also get these smaller quantities of wool. This is for the mouth. You need tiny amounts. You've got way too much. Put the rest in your stash. You get a new fiber, which is a soybean fiber. It's got this lovely honey colored yellow for the hair. This makes the yellow stripes on the bee. This makes the brown stripes on the bee. French country sheep. This is our Australian merino flesh pink for making the head and the arms and legs, and then our favorite London rich core wool to make the body. So there is a little bit more needle felting on this particular fairy than usual, and of course you do need our flexible steel wire to make the head, arms and legs. And that's basically all there is in the box. So I'm going to put this box away, and I don't need to use that needle. I don't even need to use this mat because I've got a spare one already on the go. So let's save extra tools for another time. Right, so this is the bee, just to hold her a little bit closer up. The wings are really shiny. This is the gold colored Angelina fiber, and what you do is you actually draw onto it the veins that they will shine through from the template. So that is sort of a little bit of a jump ahead to show you that there's not, it's not a big secret how to make the wings. There, it's actually really quite easy to do. You do need our heat bondable Angelina fiber, which means that when you iron it, it actually bonds together, it doesn't stick, so you don't have to run the danger of it sticking to greaseproof paper when you put that out, but it fuses together in itself and creates a really nice film that you can use to draw on. Now, whilst this is a live stream for you guys, it isn't actually live for me because I've got to pre-record this due to a family funeral, and I'm actually going to be out of the country whilst you're watching this. However, the funeral will be done and dusted, so I will be all okay after Monday, and you are obviously watching this on Tuesday. Let me guess. Today's the 12th. Tuesday the no, today's the 10th. Tuesday the 17th, and again on Thursday the 19th on Facebook at 7 p.m. as a live stream. The reason why I'm giving you these specific dates is because if you're watching this live today, which will be your today, which is not my today, but it will be your today, the 17th of May at 1 p.m. You can win yourself a £15 gift voucher to our online shop. We always give 2 away on each live stream, and again then on the 19th of May at 7 p.m. over on Facebook. So you have altogether 2 chances to win a £15 voucher, and I will just quickly tell you what you need to do to be in for a chance to win. Right, bees are the best. Of course, we now know that we wouldn't be able to live without bees, but not everybody is a fan of insects. So tell us which ones you love and which ones you hate. And again, just pop that into the comments here on YouTube or on Facebook, and then we will pick 2 winners at random for a £15 gift voucher. The vouchers they don't expire or anything like this, so you can still use them in months to come, and they are obviously you need to get in touch with us, give us your details so we can send the discount code to you for you to use at our on our website. Right, I'm going to start at the beginning now by looking at the instructions. How about that? So and then I tell you which insects I don't like or I like. Well, actually, I don't have a great opinion about most of them. I mean, not strong feelings about most of them. That's what I should say. So our format of the instructions has slightly changed. You probably spotted it already if you're a regular. What hasn't changed is that on the left-hand side we have a tape measure, so we refer to a lot of measurements in our fairy boxes, and if you haven't got a tape measure or a ruler in metric measurements, then don't worry, because you've got it here on the left-hand side of our instructions. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the head. I'm going to go to the overview camera. Now, what I always do is I start with a hole of the wire. I'm not saying that that's the most practical way, but that's what I'm doing. But some of you, I think, have actually started to cut the wire up, because you can read ahead and you know how much you need for the legs and how much you need for the arms, and then the rest, obviously, you can use for the body and the head. So that is entirely up to you. But I'm going to do exactly as it says in the instructions. And first of all, I'm taking a wisp of this pink flesh pink wool, just as a tip if you need to make it slightly longer, because we're wrapping the end of the wire with it, then just tease it very gently. And now I'm going to hold on to the wool with my right hand, and I'm wrapping with my left hand. You may be doing this the other way around. So I'm keeping the wool flat like a ribbon, and I'm just going to around the top of the wire, but then I'm going to bend the wire in, so I'm trapping the wool, I'm hooking the wool closed, and I'll continue wrapping. Now the head needs to be about 2.5 centimeters in diameter. So what I do is I'll keep my hand, I keep it close to the top of the wire, so that the wool hasn't got chance to just slip along the wire, because what I want to do is I want to concentrate building the bulk on that top part, so that it becomes a round build up, and because I need it to be a ball shape. I don't want it to be a long, thin head. I want it to be a round head. So I go all the way, and if you fold over the last wispy ends, you might find that you don't even need to felt them down. So this is where I'm going to keep my fingers, but obviously when I get a new piece of wool, I have to take them off. And I'm going to continue wrapping over the main bulk. If you keep your wool flat like a ribbon, work close to your shape, so don't have your hand over here. Well, it's actually gone out of the camera. Keep it close to the shape, and you should be able to just wrap layer upon layer gently around this. Right, here is my felting mat, and now I'm going to felt down this bit of build up of wool on top of the wire, so that it's definitely firmed in, and I'm also stabbing underneath, because I want to make sure that it's staying a ball shape, not becoming a long sausage on the end of the wire. So you do need to make sure that you have plenty of bulk on the top of it, and then you can felt it down by stabbing into it. Because it's a fine wool and you're using a medium needle, you might find it that you need to sort of be a bit gentler with the stabbing. The needle has a tendency to bounce off. Normally we use a fine needle for stabbing the fine, extra fine merino, but because we've got a lot of body shape to felt down, you're going to have to use the medium needle here on the head as well. So just don't go too deep, just stab into the surface, and once you've done this, you can measure against your tape measure here, and I am about 1/2 centimeter away from the finished size. If you, when you put the wool on the top and then bend the wire over, you should have hooked the wool onto it. So if for whatever reason the wire, you can feel the wire at the top, you can just push the ball up a bit. It shouldn't pop off, because you've actually trapped the wool, so it will be held solid. And then I'm just going to do a little bit more wrapping, keeping my fingers against close to the base of the ball, so that the wool doesn't slip down the wire. And hopefully that will be the finished size. But I'll find out once I've felted it down, and then we can have another look against the centimeter tape measure there. The tape measures on every single page, so you don't have to flick back and forth. Just keep going forward on the instructions, and then the centimeter tape measure will be there on every left-hand side of the page as well. Have you seen lots of bees buzzing around yet? I've seen a few, I will be honest, but not a masses of amount. We've had a couple of really nice days. I have heard them more than see them. We've got a cherry tree in blossom, and if you stand close, it's a big noise of buzz, buzz, buzz. And if you look very closely, you can even see them. But mostly I've heard them rather than seen them. Right, so let's have a look how big that head is in comparison to where it needs to be. And that is pretty much on the point now that I can stop. Just tidy it up a little bit more. Remember that you only need about 1/4 of this ball to look nice for the face, facing forward. So if you've got some uneven things in there, then just don't have it at the front. If you find that you get little pock marks from stabbing the needle, you could just roll it in your hand a little bit. That usually takes care of it. And we're going to go on to the next stage now. So now you cut off a 15 centimeter length from the other end, and that's going to be the arms. I haven't got my wire cutters here, but to be perfectly honest, I'm not going to be even ashamed anymore using my scissors, because they work a lot better anyway. So I'm cutting the wire with my scissors. Sorry if anybody finds that really bad. Now, I'm going to do the same again as I did earlier with the head, but this time I've got to work even neater and have quite nimble fingers. So I'm going to fasten the end of the wool onto the end of the wire again, but this time I'm making it really neat and tight. And then I bend the wire in as before, but that part that is bent in now will become the hands. So I really want to work quite delicately around that area. Need to make sure the bend is covered in. You don't want to see any wire, but do you notice that with every wrap I do, I tighten the wool even a little bit more, just to make sure that it's completely tight against the wire. Now the queen bee will have little short sleeves, but I'm going towards the center of the wire, though there will be about 1 centimeter gap from one arm to this side. So I am getting ready for that. If you've got lots of wool like I have, then just take some off and secure the wool really well. It's really worth just taking that little bit extra time to get rid of even the last wispy little fibers, because then you don't have the arm unraveling itself later on. So I've wrapped this almost into the middle, but I'm going to keep a little bit in the center unwrapped. Now do the hand again on the other side, same way. Bend the wire in by about 1/2 centimeter. Keep the wool really nice and tight, and then work my way up the other side of the wire to cover the arm with the pink wool. So work in small steps, baby steps. That's what you need to do with needle felting. Always small steps, always add more. It's easier to do that than to take it off. If this arm, as it appears on my fairy here, is a lot thinner than the other one, you can add another layer. If you do this, then make sure you're always going in the same direction, adding the wool over the top as you started out. So if I was to put another layer on there, I'm not actually going to do it, then I would start from that end going up towards there as well. So the middle bit is now uncovered, and that's exactly what I want it to be. And now I'm going to fasten these arms onto the head of the bee queen fairy and queen bee fairy, and in this way, in that I wrap the arms around it once. You can now adjust whether one arm is shorter than the other. You can adjust it by just wrapping them, unwrapping it a bit and wrapping it up again. And now I need to make the legs, and I've got all this end of the wire here, which again I'm measuring out now at 18 centimeters. So I'm going to cut that off now. So in theory, you could have cut the arms and wire lengths first. You didn't have to use the long wire that was dangling off the head and getting in the way. We're always very generous with our wool in our kits, so you should have wool left over. Now the bee fairy will have bare legs, so the legs will stay flesh colored. And again, like with the arms, I'm wrapping the end as I did before, neatly. Then I bend the wire in, and my wool has just come off. So I just finish one thing first, bend the foot in, because this is going to be the foot now, and then I re-establish my wool and continue as if nothing's ever happened, as if it's never been as if it's never come off. Now this time we're not leaving a gap between the two extremities, so we're going all the way across the middle, because you've got a longer way to go. Sometimes it works better to turn your whole work round and then just twist the wire and allow the wool to grip into the wire, because you're working so close to the wire, you get a really nice tight tension there, with the wool just slipping through your fingers. Just now and then tease it out to keep it nice and thin. You don't want to suddenly have a big fat lump there. It is also possible just to add a tiny bit of glue to the beginning and even the end of your make, because it will help you to keep the wool in place. And now I'm getting to the other end. So now I've got to do this again, where I bend in the wire, and now I've got to remember which way I'm going with the wool, because I don't want to go the opposite direction. If you go the opposite direction, the thing that will happen is you will unwind the wool underneath it, and that can be frustrating. Right. So now I've got a set of legs here, and I'm going to fasten the legs on now. A rule is that the distance between where you put the legs and the bottom of the head is about the same distance as the head is round. So it's, in this case, it's 2.5 centimeters. It works better if you bend your legs in half, not your legs, but the fairy's legs in half. And then you can wrap, now this time you wrap the body pipe cleaner around the legs, not the legs around the body pipe cleaner, as we've done with the arms. So once you've done that, you have now got a very skinny little creature here that looks a little bit like that. And that's exactly what it's meant to look like, even though it's looks nothing like a bee fairy yet. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to work with this lovely lanolin rich core. In theory, you have all this pink left, so you can use that and put that in your stash. And this time we're going to take, I'm going to be a bit more generous with my wool because we're now covering a larger area. And for this you need to lift the arms out of the way because you're starting to wrap the body of the bee with the white wool. You're still keeping it flat like a ribbon. You're still working quite tightly, but now you are you're going to wrap this wool even overlapping the legs by about 2 centimeters. So you're making the body longer by going over the legs. Make sure that they're not like pinched together at the top, but that there is a gap, and work your way around it. Remember, we're going to be make quite a plump shape, so it doesn't matter that if you're starting building the bulk quite quickly. And then you're just gonna add more, starting to build up the round shape at the lower part of the queen bee, and then begin felting it down. So you will have to close that space between the legs by stabbing into it. So you can do this. And the wool is very obliging. It wants to stick together when you're wrapping it. It might have a little bit of VM in it, vegetable matter. Don't worry about it. Pull it out as and when you want to, or leave it in. This is only the under or the core inside. We're going to cover it all with color. So if it doesn't bother you, it certainly doesn't bother the fairy. And just felt it down. And then you want to add enough layers so that your shape measures about 3 centimeters. So at the moment she's quite bottom heavy. I'm going to give her a little bit more here at the top. I haven't gone over the shoulders. I think that is something that we do later with the brown. So give her another layer. Eventually you'll have a bit of a waist line in the bee here. So if I'm just telling you that's what's going to happen, in case you're wondering why I've already got a bit of a waist there. And I'm just stabbing that down as well. And we're covering the top of the upper arms as well. So if it looks a little bit loose, I'm not too worried about it at this stage. Right, so now I have got a shape here, and then you add another layer just around the upper body and just around the lower body, keeping the middle as it is. And this is what I've been referring to. We're building up the bulk at the top because we want there to be a slight waist line. Build up the bulk at the top, felt it down so that it's now about 3.5 to 4 centimeters in diameter. The top will become a little bit more shapely when we start adding the brown, because at the moment she's got her arms really close to her head. But when we add the brown and build up the upper arms with a little brown layer, it will separate the arms more from the head. So even though it looks a little bit strange at the moment, I wouldn't worry too much about it. And then just stab into the shape, make it the right size. And you're going to add another layer onto the bottom half of the bee as well. So I'm just going to push this up a bit because she's become a bit long. And then the waist is going to be about here. So I just need to add a little bit more around the base. You can emphasize this a lot more with the colors that we're putting on top as well. There we go. Let's finish that basic shape off, then I can show her to you on the large screen. And I'm hoping that you are telling us busily which insects you love and which ones you're not so keen on. They all have their place, of course, but we can't love everything. I think the ones that I'm not so keen on are ants. I'm fascinated by them, but if you get them somewhere, if you're lying down and they do actually, I find that really horrible when they I don't know what they do. They bite. I don't think they bite. They just secrete some fluid that burns. I think that's what it is. It's like an acid burn. Put me right if I'm wrong. I've never actually been frightened of bumblebees. I was always convinced that bumblebees don't sting. Apparently there are some bumblebees that sting, but I've never come across one that did. And when I lived in Germany, I would just pick them up and carry them around. I mean, obviously gently. I wasn't being mean to them. I was always fascinated by bumblebees because I can never quite work out how they manage to stay up in the air. Such a big body and such thin, wispy wings, and yeah, quite a natural miracle. Right, so this is what my bee queen looks like at the moment. I've given it a bit more of an emphasis around the waist. I've built up the base. I could probably build up the base a little bit more even, so that she's got a nice round skirt going around the base here. I'll do that a little bit more, and then I'm gonna go to the large screen, show you what she looks like, and tell you a little bit more about what's going on with the makers at the moment. So we have decided that when we do our unwrapping of our makers boxes, we are not going to cover the technical aspects of the makers box as a general live stream anymore, but we're going to make that a private video that we only share initially with people who are subscribing. We thought that would be fair because you're paying for a subscription, and therefore we want you to have the exclusive knowledge of any technical tips and hints. First off, this might be something that we share later on, but initially we only share it with you directly. That you can still view this on YouTube, but it will be a private link that we will send to you. And what else? We've got a few shows to look forward to. In June, we will be going to the NEC with the Creative Craft Show. That's a 3-day show, midsummer weekend probably, or thereabouts. It's the 24th, 25th and 26th. And I've got exciting projects. For workshops, we're doing a storm in a teacup, we're doing the flamingo, and as well as that, we're doing a gardening mouse. So this will be a new kit that's coming out that you will be able to buy very soon to add to our special edition mouse collection. Okay, so I'm going to show you this bee now in the big camera. There you go. That's what she looks like at the moment. Doesn't look like much, but she will as we are progressing. Is she about the same size? Yeah, she's pretty much same size as the finished article, but looks nothing like it at the moment. But we get there. As you know, needle felting goes through quite weird and wonderful transformations, and this one is no exception. So what else is happening? We are, of course, still looking forward to seeing all your Jubilee mice. If you have got any to show, then please do so. We have got them. I've just put her. There you go. It's not, well, it could be a her. To me, it's a he. You can make him from our Jubilee mouse kit. That is still available. It's obviously a special edition, and once they're gone, they're gone. We also have got to look forward in the next Makers Box our Badger Cup with its little pink paws, and there will be 2 that you can make in a cozy little den or nest if you like. And then the fairy for June is our ladybird fairy. There she is sitting looking very happy on a collection of leaves, and you can make tiny little ladybirds to go with her as well. And if you are still waiting for your Makers Box for May, it is of course the owl. That is our 5th anniversary Makers Box, and I can't wait to see yours. He has got really long legs, as they have in real as well, so you could have him strutting along with his long legs. Sometimes they look like they're marching, so that is a possibility, or they can be tucked in right under his body. And the legs are really easy to make. People have actually commented on how easy the legs are to make, but how effective they are. What else can I tell you? We have got, we're still raising funds for the Ukraine, so you can still get your little pendant at our workshop. £5 of each kit will be donated to the charity. In fact, that is pretty much half of it, because obviously this includes VAT as well, the price for the kit, but the £5 will be exclusive of VAT. So it's pretty much half of the kit will go to the to the Ukraine. Stand with the Ukraine appeal, and that is through the dec.org.uk charity, and it's a humanitarian appeal, as you can see. It doesn't come with any tools, but if you're a savvy needle felter, I'm sure you've got it all sorted already. Right, I'm going to continue with the bee, I'm guessing. So let's, it's quite a long project, so I will just crack on. I'm going to go to the overhead view for this. And the next step is that I'm going to have to start adding the brown wool. Now this one is our French country top. It's such a mellow, lovely brown. It's even though it's a top, it doesn't feel very flat. It feels quite lofty, so that's quite nice for felting on. And I'm going to wrap now. Now take the brown French country sheep and tease off a thin flat strand. Begin wrapping this around the upper body first. I'm just going to bend the arms out of the way again. Adding this around the upper body. And then next go around the neck and pull tight, because this is what's going to distinguish now the head from the body. And pull tight before adding thin tight layers around the arms for upper sleeves. So I'm going to do this on one arm here first. It's not as thin as I thought it would be, but it will do. I'm going back on myself here. And I'm running out of wool, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And then I'm going to repeat this on the other side. So starting to wrap the roll around this. If it looks a little bit messy to start with, remember you're felting this down in a minute as well. And also you can always add more wool over the top. So from the front it doesn't look too bad, from the back it looks a little bit messy, but I am felting this down now and giving her sort of a narrow stripe at the top of her body. Felting this down. And now I have made the neck more distinct from the rest of the fairy. And I've given her little short sleeves. I'm still felting this down at the moment. Again, the medium needle works perfectly for this project. Colouring in as well. So what you do need to be mindful of is that there is wire inside. So remember, there is wire inside your make. Right, I'm going now over to the next page. And in fact, you're now covering all of the body in brown. So we're starting you can bend the arm out of the way and then just continue where you've been by adding the brown wool over the top. Remember, you've got to maintain that slightly narrower part around the waist. So make sure that you keep that and stuff the wool into place as you're going along. I feel the waist needs to be a tiny bit higher, so I'm just stabbing a little bit from below up. Bring that waist up a bit, make that upper body a little bit shorter, so she's more in proportion, whilst I'm fastening the brown wool onto her as well. So there's quite a bit of stubbing on this one. Normally we don't do quite so much stubbing, but on this one there is. And as long as you know that you can stab confidently quite deep where there is no wire, your needle will not mind at all. But be prepared to slow your needle down completely if you go anywhere near a wire. Right, there you go. There she is. She's got her upper body felted quite tightly now, and now I'm going to wrap the rest of her in the brown wool. Working my way down. All the way down. You can do this in small stages. You don't need to do it all in one go. If you wanted to, you could give her little brown legs. Again, we never mind if you go off piece from our instructions. We always love to see what creative touches you add into your makes. It's not a personal thing that you have to follow every single step. It's your make. You can do whatever you like. And then cover the rest. So the wool would sort of naturally want to slip over the edge, and that's okay because we do need to fill in this part underneath. At this point you have to make sure that you're not pinching the legs shut, as I've just done. Maybe unwrap this again. Okay, make sure keep it really loose and stuff the wool in around the base. If you want more of the legs to be exposed, then you just have to stab the bottom part of the skirt a little bit shorter, or the bottom part of the body by stabbing straight into it. Yeah, upside down fairy with the legs up in the air. Sorry, not the most dignified way. Here we go. Right, so that is basically the brown cover of the fairy done now. As I said, if you want to cover the top parts of her legs, you can do. Otherwise, we'll continue with the next step, which is adding the yellow stripes. So we need to fit 3 yellow stripes onto the fairy here. And for this, you've got this color wool. Such a beautiful, very rich egg yolky color almost. I really like it. And bees are often more golden yellow, wasps are more sort of lemon yellow. So the first stripe is just below the arms, like that. And what you could do is keep it really wispy and then just keep going round a couple more times, so you can keep the stripes really wispy, or you can make them very, very contrastful. One stripe, and I'm just going to add the stripes on there now, because then I know exactly where they go. So one goes on top goes right on top where the just below the arms. The next one sits just below the waist. So the waist is here and the stripe is just below, on the hips almost, if you like. and the third one sits right at the bottom part like that. And all you need to do now is fasten them on. If for whatever reason you cover too much brown, add more brown, because you've got lots of brown still. If you need to add more yellow, add more yellow. You can keep the stripes quite like with soft edges, so don't felt too much into the edge, but spread the wool out a little bit more, saying that this one is melting into the next one. And the main thing is that you make sure that you have the waist still there. So stab into the waist more than you do into the other part of the yellow stripe. And this is basically how you fasten on the yellow wool, and then work your way round down to the bottom yellow stripe. If you want to make really precise stripes, that's absolutely fine. I prefer them a little bit more soft. Like I said, soft around the edges. And in the process of adding the stripes, you can also sculpt your shape a little bit more. Bring the arms down now. I just want to step down the upper body a little bit. She's quite chunky at the top, this one, whereas she's a little bit more dainty at the top. I prefer her shape, but that's just always the thing with needle felting. You make one and then the second one's never quite the same. So you can still do a lot of adjustment by just felting the wool down a lot more. If there's air in it, you can make it smaller. That's a rule that you all know by now. Put your arms up again. I'm just going to work on her a little bit more on the upper body, so I'm happy with the shape at the top. So the top is a little bit more narrow and less chunky. Okay, here we go. That's better. There we go. So now I need to find out what's happening next, because normally we add the antennae to the head after we have made the hair, but on this occasion the antennae need to go on first because they become the anchor point for the hair. So you have two options now. You can either use your felting needle to make a hole so that you can insert the wire, or maybe you have got an awl or similar to make a hole that will go across the head at the top. And before I do this, I'm just going to show you quickly on the large screen where we're at. There you go. Normally I check in how everybody's doing. I check in who's putting which comment down. There's going to be chat going on in the comments. I'm wondering who's watching. I want to say hello to everybody. If I just shout out random names, there's probably some of you will be called those names, but of course you might also be watching this not at all live but afterwards, and then none of this makes sense to you either. So thank you for watching. In any case, give us the thumbs up on this YouTube video, and also if you're not subscribed to our channel yet, please do subscribe. Then you get notifications of our live streams, and they happen at least once a week. So we share our tutorials for free. That not everybody does that. Many people charge. We don't charge. We share them for free, and we just hope that in return you support us by buying your favorite felting supplies from the makers, and maybe doll making supplies as well. Right, so this is the queen bee fairy that I'm queen bee, was it bee queen? No, queen bee fairy that I'm working on. There you go. And what else have I got in my little what else can I tell you about? Yes, summer retreat. We're still, well, I think we've still got places for the summer retreat. Eric the Viking is dying to meet you. Hopefully you will be able to join us. We have got bell tents available still. They're up now, and there will be camp beds inside as well. So that's a slight change from before. That doesn't affect the price. It's still the same price. And then I should also tell you about our next live streams. So next week, which is the 24th of May, we will be making the peacock bird together. I'm looking forward to that one. It's a really bright, summery, sparkling project. Just what we need at this time of the year, where the sun keeps coming and going and deciding it deserts us still, and then it's suddenly cold again. And then on the 31st of May, we are unwrapping the next subscription boxes for June. I cannot believe how quickly that has come around, but that is at 1 o'clock on the 31st of May. And then, so it falls onto a Tuesday again. And then Tuesday, the 7th of May, we're actually making or beginning to make, it's a 2-hour session, the red squirrel. So it's a double whammy. We're making the red squirrel from the maker's kit, and we're welcoming people from the Cumbria Wildlife Trust who have bought their membership and got a free squirrel kit. Right, so there's the bee now. I'm going to give her her antennae. I've kept them safe, they're here. And I'm going to try and using the felting needle to make the holes in there. Just to let you know, this is how much wool I've got left over from my bee project. So, and I won't be using that. I'm still using the hair. I'm still using a little bit for the eyes, for the mouth, and then a tiny bit of the brown for the eyes as well. Right, let's go to the overview camera again. So the idea is that you make a hole from one side to the other side of the head. Now, sometimes easier said than done because there's a wire inside, so you might have to do several attempts. And if you insert your needle all the way so that the thicker part of it goes in, and you give it a bit of a jiggle, only then you should actually see that you've made quite a big hole, and the wire should just follow through. Does it? Yay! So now you've got the wire inserted into the top of the head. And at this point, I need glue, which I haven't brought to the desk. So I'm going to get that quickly. Stay where you are. I'm just going to get some glue so I can show you how to fasten the wire in, but also at the same time use that as an anchor point for the hair. And of course, I'm using our favorite glue stick here. Glue pen, I should say, which is not going to let me down, no. So I'm adding quite a bit of glue there. I'm going to do one at a time, actually. I think that might make more sense. It doesn't show that in the instructions, but I'm going to do that. And I'm just evening out the wire. So now you're going to use this soybean top, which is very soft and flaky, so it tears quite quickly, and you're going to wrap this around the top of the antennae, but also needs to fasten onto the head as well. So you're just going to wrap this. The glue will make sure that it's not slipping around, and then when you get to the sort of bottom more, you will need to go to the other side. Yeah, you will need to start. You can start felting it down a little bit. You've got quite a lot. But the idea is that you are actually going to twist this so that you're making little twizzles. And as you're making them, you felt this down. So it's a very soft, fine top, which sometimes it means that if you felt into it and it's too dense, it's hard to, the needle will bounce off. So I've established one side now, and I'm going to do the other side. And in the instructions, it tells you to put glue on both sides at the same time, but I suddenly thought maybe that might be a little bit tricky, because you might get glue onto the top when you don't want it, because it's just glue sitting around on the other side of the antennae. So I'm going to repeat that here, get the top established on top of the glue. I'm quite generous with the glue, I will be honest. You can see how fine this is. It just comes apart. It's not dissimilar from, does anybody remember or know of kapok? Kapok is a very fine stuffing material, but it's so fine, it's almost, you can almost breathe it in. So there we go. That's the two antennae here. And now I'm going to continue giving her her curly head. And to do this, you are going to fasten on the wool. You have to decide at this point now what's the front and the back. I'm going to bend the feet in, that will help me to remember. And just establish the one end first of all. Just get it felted in. So get rid of the end and felt it in. And what you're going to do now is you're going to twist the wool. I think we might have done a fairy similar to this before. Twist the wool, and as it's twisting and twizzling up, you're felting that twist and twizzle down, and that will sort of give the impression of a curly hair. So twist it. I am doing this left-handed, though I am not left-handed. It always amazes me. But then I use the needle in my right hand, so maybe you do it with your left hand. Maybe you do that too, so that frees up the right hand to just pick up the needle. This is just a suggestion of how you could do the hair. If you want the hair to be long, then you can do that too. It is just a very fine wool that, no, it's not even wool, it's a plant fiber. It's from a soya bean. And you're going to continue doing this. You can maybe work with bigger strands, thicker strands. That might speed up the process a little bit. And what we usually do is we start framing the face of a fairy. That's what I always do, because then at least you know the important part that you're going to look at is covered. I'm twisting that into little bunches. That's basically what we're doing, twisting it. And then felting it on as you go along. It will bulk up the size of the head a little bit as well, which might be quite nice to make it more proportionate with the body again. Right, so that's one side done. I mean, felt it down, but obviously you don't need to felt it completely flat, because you do want it to look like it's curly. Just fasten one end in and then twist it. Get the head covered first. If you've got leftover, then maybe add another layer over the top and bulk it out a bit more. But just get the head covered first. Frame the face, and then see where you are with the leftover tops. If you want to add more, you can, but at least you're not running out and she's got a bald patch on the back of her head. That would be a bit disastrous. So it is very fine, very fine. But I love the color. It just, when I saw the color, I just knew it had to be the hair for the bee, because it is literally the color of set honey, and yeah, so it needs to be on her somewhere. You can have a little curl going into her face if you want. And then once you've done the hair, you can actually shape the antennae, give it little spiral shapes at the top, however you want to do this. You can even have long hair still, even running down at the back now. You can give her plaits. There are lots of different ways of how to do the hair. We have a whole playlist on fairies of how to design different parts of the fairy. So if you want to give her different hair and you don't know how to do it, but you just know it needs to be different, have a look on our playlist on YouTube. There are many ways of how you can do fairies hair and how you can design a hairstyle. Right, so I've still got quite a lot of this left. So now I'm going to build up a little bit more bulk to make the head a little bit bigger. So just felt it down as you twist it, and it becomes like little tight curls, basically. And I'm using the felting mat that comes in the fairy kit. Our fairy kits, the subscription works slightly different to our makers box. With the fairy boxes you can buy one-offs. However, we only produce X amount, and once they're gone, they're gone. We tend not to repeat them unless it's a special fairy. For example, our forget-me-not fairy we have kept in our program, and so has the guardian angel. But you never know, maybe the bee fairy will make it as a permanent fairy kit. Bees are really important, and it is actually International Bee Day, or World Bee Day, I think that's what it's called, on the 20th of May. So you'll see probably more bees on social media as that day is celebrated in honor of the bees. And they are fascinating creatures. I mean, really fascinating. There we go. So one antennae is indeed shorter than the other, but it's fine because I'm going to twist it in a minute. So I've still got quite a bit of this soybean top left. I could put more on it, but I won't. And this is really super soft bendable wire, so you can just use your fingers to bend it if you want to into a particular shape, whatever you prefer. To make the eyes and the mouth, you take a tiny little bit of the brown wool. You're gonna have to twist this into or crumple this up into a little brown spot. Just it between your finger there, and lay it onto the bee, onto the face, and then stab it in, but make sure it doesn't stay as big as I'm put down here now. So make sure that it does reduce down in size as you're stabbing it in. It's better to start out with a larger piece and felt it in than have a tiny amount and then it just disappears into the head. That can happen too. There we go, that's one eye. And then you repeat that on the other side. Challenge is always to make a similar size. Now on the other side, and I have really used tiny amounts of that wool. It's just a long fiber, so once you scrunch it up, it looks quite big. If it's completely hideous, then just take it out. Doing faces on fairies is always a bit of a risk. They can, if the more delicate you make it, the better. The bigger the features are, the more risky it is that they go wrong. She's got quite big eyes, but I'm going to leave that. And then you give her a tiny red mouth in the same way as you did with the, she almost has bee's eyes, insect eyes, tiny mouth. You can make that smiling, or you can just make it a round, a little blob. Up to you how you want to do this. Stuff those eyes in a bit more, especially that one. Oh well, she has got the eyes she has got now, so she's got quite big eyes. And then the only thing that I haven't done, which is what I said I wouldn't do, is the wings. Now for that you have the heat bondable Angelina fiber. I'm just going to take it out of its packaging. And what you can do is you basically, you have got your template on the back of your instructions here, You can put greaseproof paper over the top. I would do one wing at a time. And all you're going to do is you're just laying out the Angelina fiber. You have way more Angelina fiber here than you actually will need. Lay it out like this so that it's running in that direction of the wing on top of the greaseproof paper, but you can probably see the template through the greaseproof paper as well. Then you iron that, it becomes a flat film. You can draw onto the wing once it's a flat film with a Sharpie pen, a brown Sharpie pen or a waterproof pen, and you can already draw the veins into your wing. Can you see that I've done this? You can draw them on from both sides. So just turn them over and then draw the veins on. And they're quite important that you draw the veins on. I think that finishes off the wings quite nicely. But that is basically the wing shape. And obviously you cut around it by drawing onto it. Draw the outside onto your thin Angelina fiber. Sometimes it's better to do a thin layer of Angelina fiber first and then add more. And of course the crown you will have to glue on and make sure that it's dry before you pose your bee. It is quite a heavy metal crown, so you do need to definitely make sure that it's dry before you do anything with your bee. But there you go, that is basically the queen bee in an hour, all shown to you now, and it's over to you now to make yours and then share with us what your buzzy bee and busy bee is doing and what she's getting up to. Share with us some photos, maybe out in nature. We always love to see that, and I can't wait to meet your queen bee. And I promise you, after June, the queen theme will ease off and we will be doing other things. I'm particularly looking forward to the moon fairy, which is happening in July, but before that it's the ladybird fairy, which I'm also looking forward to. Oh dear, sorry, and the fairy circle as well. And I think that's we've had sort of a brief sort out of what the monthly boxes will be. Badger cups in June, and how does your garden grow? Ladybird fairy, that's all in June. Then we've got the dolphin in July. Coastal paths for the surprise box and the moon fairy for the fairy box. And then we have got, and I'm saying it with 99% confidence, in August we've got a giant tiger moth. Then we have a surprise box that's called Busy Bees, and our fairy box is going to be fairy circle fairies. There'll be more than one, probably about 4 or 5 even, but of the smaller variety, even smaller. In September we have a maker's box for a bat, and then we do the sapphire fairy for the fairy box, and our surprise box is Indian summer. And we have got ideas further ahead for the year, but they could potentially change. I don't want you to hold me to them if I mention them now. To those of you who have won the £15 gift voucher, congratulations, well done. Send us an email, info@themakers.co.uk, so that we can send you the code too. And remember, you can put this into the checkout. At the checkout there's a box for discount codes, so you can put it in there. However, you can only ever use one code at a time, so if you've got another exciting code you want to use, that you have to do that with a separate order. And I think I've shown you the next live streams. I did that. Upcoming sub boxes. Let's just show you the little thumbnail, so you've got it visually there as well. And of course we have got a summer wool mix. If you some people have actually shared what they've made with it, because I think it's a beautiful mix. Reminds me of sweet peas and summer, just summer, basically summer. We need summer, come on summer. And I should also just mention the fairy bundle again. It is a limited edition of different types of fairy decoration, bundle 3 and bundle 4, for you to get your hands on, for any fairy lovers or anybody who likes to decorate their fairy garden. That's it. The contents can vary slightly, but the theme is pretty much the same, and they are yeah, they're definitely worth having. And that's basically all I've got to say today. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back with the unboxing on the 31st. Is that what the next thing I'm going to do? Have I gone mad now? I feel there's something missing. Oh yes, the peacock. Peacock bird comes first. That's it. I knew there was something missing. I will be back with that first on the 24th of sorry, I've got a diary hanging up there, so I'm not just staring into space. I can actually read what's going on, thankfully, because my brain is full up to capacity. Okay, well done everybody for participating and winning potentially, and thank you for watching, and we can't wait to see your bees buzzing around on Everyone a Maker maybe. Bye.